Join the No Kings event near you.
Imagine screaming No Kings when you got to win the Democratic primary without a single vote.
This is America.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we go on camera or? Can we go on camera or no?
Yeah, just start talking.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Alondra Campos with NBC Palm Springs, live from Cathedral City here on West Buddy Rogers Avenue and East Palm Canyon Drive, where we have thousands of protesters showing up today for the No Kings Day protest, protesting against the Trump administration, and now protesting as well against the government shutdown. We are officially on the 18th day of that government shutdown, and so all of these protesters have been out here since the early hours of the morning, since 9 a.m. in the heat under the sun. If you recall, there was a similar No Kings Day protest that occurred back in June, just a couple of months ago, where people came out and showed out for their opposition to the Trump administration and what they call the radically extreme policies. And so as you can see, there are thousands of people out here, even more earlier this morning, with signs, flags, making noise, all in opposition of this Trump administration, especially now amid this government shutdown with no end in sight. And so let's talk to some of these protesters about, you know, their reasoning for being out here today. Hi, how are you guys? Good. Hi, good. What's your name?
Renelle.
So, Renelle, tell me, why are you out here today?
Oh, I'm too nervous to do this.
Yeah, totally fine. There's 1,000 people out here with you today.
We're here today just to show that we have democracy in America and no kings belong here, and our administration right now is kind of running more like a regime than a democracy, and we're here to show that we need to go back to the way it was, where the people have a say, and hopefully this many people out here and across America, we get people to listen to us.
And so many people in opposition of the Trump administration are calling a lot of his policies, you know, radically extreme and something that they've never seen in the history of the United States. Would you agree? And what are some of those policies that you would consider radically extreme?
I definitely agree with that statement. I personally, in my lifetime, have never seen the National Guard deployed to major cities, used on a lot of people who are peacefully protesting, you know. Thankfully, we see none of that here at the moment, but we've seen a lot of, you know, in where Chicago and D.C., where they're just deploying to the National Guard onto our own civilians, basically. So it's just, I've never seen that. It's unprecedented, really, and it's just one of the many things that have been going on.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for sharing that. And so she's just one of the many protesters that are out here, again, protesting against the Trump administration, against this No Kings Protest Day, which is a nationwide movement across all states. Hundreds of protests taking place today. And so here we have some interesting people in costumes over here. Hi, you guys. Hi, we have one protester here wanting to speak to you as well. Yes, of course, of course. Who are we speaking to today? Who is this? Yes. Hi, Ross. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Alondra with NBC Palm Springs. So tell me, Ross, what are you doing out here today? What are you protesting against?
Oh, we're protesting against Trump. We're protesting against the dictator. You know, this is fascism. People don't really realize it, but
this is why it's inaccurate and frankly foolish to call Donald Trump a fascist. Fascism means that there's only one party within the state, totalitarian control, and suppressing all voices that think differently than you or against the government. It emerged under leaders like Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler.
Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as... well, as Hitler. Listen, What I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. And dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm or is this some kind of toy for
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
It is a baseless and mischaracterized accusation to call Donald Trump a fascist. Not to mention, it's an insult to people who have lived or are currently living under authoritarian regimes. In countries like Russia, North Korea, China, Venezuela, Cuba, you wouldn't be able to criticize or speak out against the government without fear of being put in prison or possibly killed.
This is my first election in the United States. I'm here in the campus in Arizona University. You see this? It's amazing. I don't have nothing like this where I'm from. Oh my God.
No importa.
Okay.
Sigue.
I don't have nothing like this where I'm from because we have only one government. When I look at this teenager coming here, support someone, see different opinion, it's amazing. Because that's democracy. And for me, so happy. I'm really great be here in the United States.
That's what an authoritarian regime looks like. And you definitely wouldn't be able to have a No Kings protest.
Did y'all see this idiot Mark Ruffalo at these No Kings Day protests whining about capitalism and what's wrong with America is white men and billionaires? I can't fathom being this out of touch. First off, I noticed he said billionaires and not millionaires because that would have included him. You make endless trunks of money by showing up to a green screen and playing some bitch ass version of the Hulk, right? So if you've really got a problem with capitalism and the distribution of wealth, why don't you go take your multi-million-dollar Marvel contracts and residuals and give them to people with real fucking jobs? Why don't you start handing out checks to nurses and doctors and teachers, firefighters, steel workers, farmers? Why don't you go help them out if you really got a problem with people making too much money? Fucking punk motherfucker, man. There's a lot of these Hollywood snowflakes that are just on another planet, man. By the way, Edward Norton's Hulk is 100 times better, just for the record.
So since the left is exaggerating words like fascist and authoritarian, they then have to exaggerate incidents to fit their narrative. Recently, they tried to say Trump's deployment of the National Guard to California was an overreach in authority, even though he had the legal right under Title 10. And then they're also trying to twist this story with the brief detainment of Senator Alex Padilla when he interrupted and rushed towards our Secretary of Homeland Security during a contentious time without showing any identification. Can you really call it authoritarian behavior or fascist behavior if you detain someone and then immediately release them and then allow them to have a conversation with the secretary after? And let's not forget the amount of people on the left saying that women's rights would be completely gone once he got elected, and here I am doing the most feminist shit ever, voicing my opinion. We still have 2 functioning political parties in Congress, and he has never done anything to try to dissolve the opposition. Everything he has done is within the framework of the Constitution.
Look, read about some of the things they did in Germany and how that happened. The only way we're going to stop him, Trump, from being a dictator is if we get a general strike going. You know, we have to have many people. And I think if we would call a general strike, I think that would really start shutting him down.
All of this, and you accomplished nothing. I just want to put that into perspective because a lot of you out there seem to think that you did something today at your little No Kings protest. You accomplished nothing. Look at how many people it takes for the liberals to get together and accomplish nothing. What did you accomplish today? The largest crybaby fest in the history of mankind? Seriously though, think about it. if you can, if you've got the balls, what did y'all accomplish today? The largest unified protest in modern recorded history. Bleh. And you did what? You did what? You did nothing. The world keeps on spinning exactly the same way as it did before you started. Oh, yeah. Oh, we are all in awe right now. Oh. Idiots. Just pointing out the obvious. You accomplished nothing.
Is this your first No King's Day protest that you attend? Is this the first No King's Day protest you attend? Or have you attended others?
Well, let's start back in the 60s, okay, in the civil rights movement, you know. So I started then, and, you know, anti-war movement. And
you know, these are the same people who accuse Donald Trump of being a draft dodger. How many of these people dodge that same draft?
You know, and like I said, the civil rights movement.
What drives you to keep coming out?
Because I believe in democracy, you know. I've always been an activist, and I always will. I'll die in this chair someplace, you know. I'm 87 years old now? 88? Anyway, yeah, you got to fight for democracy, you know. That dictatorship isn't going to work. A lot of people won't do anything until it affects them, you know. And once it affects them, but it's too late sometimes, you know. I'm hoping it's not too late, and that's why I said a general strike. Or you got to get millions of people out, not 5 million, but maybe 20, 30 million people out in the streets.
And what are some of the policies that have impacted you personally?
I'm sorry?
What are some of the policies under the Trump administration that have impacted you personally?
Well, the first one is racism. That's the first one that affected me.
Racism is not a policy.
And now I got to think.
That's okay. How about you talk to me about your sign? What's your name, sir?
My name is Ruben Casada. I think that there's an oligarchy going on. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, every one of these people were at his inauguration. They all supported his presidency. They all want an oligarchy. They all are creating private communities.
Do you mean like country clubs? Because here in the Coachella Valley, we have thousands of country clubs. In fact, I live in a gated community too. Is that what you mean? Because there's a lot of these around here. I don't see y'all going after the country clubs. And how come no one's ever willing to talk about the Thunderbird Country Club when they wouldn't even let Desi Arnaz join the Thunderbird Country Club because he was Cuban?
That do not allow other people in, that are regulated, that are controlled by people, corporate.
Hi, what's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, what's your name?
Kathy.
Elizabeth and Kathy, first, describe to me about your attire. What is the symbolism? What does it mean?
Our democracy is battered and bruised. We need to get this clown out. He's not a king. We need democracy. Plain and simple.
And what are some of the top issues under this administration that you are most battling with right now?
All of the illegalities.
So in other words, nothing specifically comes to mind. Like the other guy who has to think about what policies affect him.
Every day there are illegalities against the Constitution.
Name one.
He's a criminal. He's a 34-time convicted felon. He might be... Can you see that?
Woo! And so, what would you have to say to the opposition side who perhaps does not think the same way?
Wake up. I have a saying. The opposite of woke is asleep. You people are asleep.
So speaking from the perspective of black conservatives, right? Filipino, Asian conservatives, you know, Latino conservatives. When you say,
You people,
what do you mean by you people?
wake up. Sorry.
And we are on the 18th day of the government shutdown, right? All in the center of it all is a funding bill, essentially. I mean, for you guys, you know, as citizens of this country, what is it for you the key to build reconciliation between both parties and open the government again?
Well, first they need to reopen or get Congress back in session so that they can actually negotiate between the elected officials that represent all of this country. We do not want a fascist country.
It's fascist about not wanting to use U.S. tax dollars to fund transgender or LGBTQ or any of this type of shit, like nonsense programs in other countries. I mean, seriously, was it the transgender seminars or something in Nepal? Like, why do we care about that shit? Why do we care about Nepal? Why do we care about Pakistan? How come we never care about Pakistan when they call us and scam us? You know, when they come after you, old people, old, whatever, elderly, because you don't know nothing else. You don't know about technology. You don't know about AI. They come after you, calling themselves Calvin Johnson or whatever the fuck, you know, the different names, and you know they do not sound like that. Hello, my name is Calvin Johnson. I am with the FBI. And you fuckers fall for it. And then they start pulling fucking thousands of dollars out of your bank account. You don't care about Pakistan then, but you care about Pakistan when it comes to transgender, you know, operas and shit. We don't need that. We don't need to spend our tax dollars on that bullshit. That's the whole point of this, the continuing resolutions and why we shut down the government, because the Democrats want that shit and the Republicans don't. That's the whole fucking thing, and you guys support that shit for some fucking reason. You care about that shit, but yet we have thousands of homeless veterans on the street still.
And I am very concerned that the people that support the president don't understand what fascism is. They're taking over the media. They are canceling comedians that disagree with him.
Are you talking about Jimmy Kimmel? Are you talking about Stephen Colbert? They got canceled by their own networks. Donald Trump had nothing to do with canceling them. Jimmy Kimmel made a reference to Charlie Kirk, which got him canceled. Right? Stephen Colbert, I mean, isn't that funny? And half these people had, like, especially Jimmy Kimmel, they gotta put a laugh track in the back to make them more appealing to the audience that are watching from home. There's nobody at the show watching the show and laughing at his stupid ass jokes. Stephen Colbert is a little bit more funnier, but Stephen Colbert is also a fucking pedophile.
They're taking away our First Amendment rights.
As you're standing in the street talking to the media about your own opinions.
They're taking away our right to abortion that we've enjoyed now for 50 years.
Took the issue of abortion from the federal level and gave it down to the states to decide whether they support it or not. And yet you're here in California as what? Late 50s, maybe 65-year-old woman. So here in California, it's legal to abort. But also, you're too old to even have a child. So why does it matter to you anymore?
And not have to go to Sweden or another state or something.
I'm convinced these ladies had some wine before they came out, because Sweden or another state. Sweden is not even in the United States. It's a whole new other country, y'all.
And so people continue to protest along here. Hi, we have another gentleman right over here. Hi, sir. Can you please explain to me about, what you're wearing today?
I am a 2024 ballot box. As you can see, I'm claiming manipulation. Election Truth Alliance is in court now to bring to fore the fact that the election in 2024 was manipulated by someone somewhere. And we even have the quote from Donald Trump where he admitted it in October of last year.
That's what I mean. They don't know how to take jokes. They take dicks better than they take jokes. Just saying. Donald Trump made that analogy. It was joking, but again, you guys can't take a joke. You take dicks better than you take jokes. You idiot. Whatever.
He said it was a fix. So we're demanding that the court hear all cases and become knowledgeable about the fact that the vote was manipulated and that Harris was the winner.
Join the No Kings event near you.
Imagine screaming no kings when you got to win the Democratic primary without a single vote.
Wow, very interesting, choice of attire to come out today in this protest. Is this the first protest you come out in, sir?
Draft dodger, maybe? Let's see.
And if not, then what keeps you coming out?
My first protest was the Vietnam War when I was 14. So there you go.
Very interesting choices of attire out here with everybody. We have two right here as well. Hi, hello. Hi, I don't know if you guys can speak through the costumes.
Specifically wore those costumes so you don't talk to them, you don't see their faces, etc., etc., etc.
If at all possible, but these are two. Can you guys describe me your costumes actually? I don't know if you can. I don't know if they can. If they're going to be able to speak to this. They're holding no king signs here and standing here. It must be very hot in there. But earlier today, there were thousands more people lined up here. Cars passing through, honking, showing their support, making noise and rallying for this No King's Day protest. And over here as well, we have hi. What's your name? Hi. What's your name?
Joan Raphael.
Joan. Hi, Joan. What city are you from?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. So what brought you out here today, Joan?
Can't stand it anymore, Just want to represent all the people who've been brutalized and kidnapped out of their homes and their cars and schools, and it's just...
Raphael, if you really cared about immigrants, you would do something more than just standing on the fucking side of the street with a sign that says no kings. Seriously, you would do something else. There's so many things you can do in the Coachella Valley. You can go to a school and support a family or feed a bunch of people or whatever the case might be, right? You can do a bunch of other things. I'm sure you live in a gated community as well. You can house somebody. How about housing somebody? Okay? But you're not going to do any of that. What you're going to do is stand there and, I'm so tired of it. Shut the fuck up. I don't care how old you are. Shut up. You could have done anything else productive for the immigrants, but you're not. Have you gone down to, hell, I live near a damn farm, and I see, yesterday I was going to work, right? I was going to work, and I literally saw a line full of nice trucks and SUVs, and these are the migrant farm workers that are working that field. And I'm kidding you not. There's like those big ass Ram trucks. I saw a couple of F-250s. These are the migrant farm. These aren't the actual farmers or the guys who own the farms. These are the actual migrant farm workers picking the crops. Big ass trucks. I think I seen like a nice. What was it? I forget, but they were nice looking. And they weren't beat up at all. Meanwhile, I'm cruising down the street in a 2010 Camry with no hubcaps. Paint's all fucked up. It's supposed to be red, but it looks like it has a white mohawk on top. Yeah. So, yeah, perspective-wise, looking at my car, looking at theirs, wow, they got some nice cars for being a migrant farm worker. Irregardless of the fact, have you ever gone down and said, you know what, I want to help migrants. I want to help you guys. Let me figure out what to do. Have you done anything productive? If not, shut up. Please.
If this movement is truly against billionaires and the powerful, why is it funded by billionaires and the powerful? This is not about dismantling power. This is about rearranging power. So according to several sources, including Fox News, George Soros and his Open Society Action Fund granted $3 million to Indivisible. Now, this is one of the primary organizers of the No Kings protest. Soros's larger network, the Open Society Foundation, gave over $7.6 million to the same operation. We're almost at $11 million, but Soros is not alone. If you follow the funding trail, it leads to, what a surprise, the Arabella Network. Now you add in the Bill Gates Foundation, or the Ford Foundation, or here's my favorite, the Rockefeller Network. There is now this organization funded by billionaires, Riots Inc., and it is the permanent protest industrial complex. These tactics were developed by the CIA, and they're called color revolutions. And what they do is they flood the streets with, quote, organic protesters. They control the media narrative. They destabilize the existing system, and then they overthrow that system and install a new one. It is part of a longer game. Once you convince free people that freedom itself is the problem, they'll beg for a change. And that's when the kings, the real kings, step out from behind the curtain. When there's an emergency for your own good, you have to remain inside. You're not an essential worker. You can only shop at Home Depot. That's the sign of a king. Kings, they don't have to wear crowns. Usually kings just sign checks. Sometimes they fund revolutions. They are the ones writing the script for the resistance, for their own power and kingdoms.
They say no kings, right? Donald Trump's been in office totally for 5 years, not even 5 full years. Chuck Schumer, 44 years. I actually got the list right here. Mitch McConnell, 40 plus years. Pelosi, 38. Maxine Waters, 37. Bernie Sanders, 34. And then they're calling this motherfucker a king. He's been there for less than 5 years. By the way, he was democratically elected. It's pretty hypocritical for these people to sit there and say no kings when these are the same people who were screaming at us during COVID, who were telling us to stay the fuck home, who told us we couldn't breathe the motherfucking air.
Around the time of the pandemic, I was an essential worker at Public Storage, Rancho Mirage mostly, but Palm Desert and Palm Springs. It was at Public Storage where, in Palm Springs, I've been called the N-word. Like, no, not nigger. Nigger. I was called a nigger at the very least at Public Storage 5 or 6 times. Right? By someone who was entitled and for the most part were gay. One lesbian. The rest were gay. So I hate Palm Springs, right? For that. Every time someone called me a nigger, I was always like, well, I ain't black, so. But, you know, it's the type of people that are there. That's the type of people, if they don't get their way, this is what they call a nigger. So, I remember being told by an old man one time, he was like,
"Where's your gloves? You need to wear gloves."
I'm like, why do I need to wear gloves?
It's the law.
I'm like, first of all, the mask was not a law. Gloves certainly are not a law. I mean, you're wearing gloves, but you're still touching everything. Does that make any sense? And then on top of that, he yelled at me over gloves, but when I set a boundary to where they got to stand, which was 6 feet from my desk, guess where he stood? In front of my desk. Does that make sense? You got all the PPE on, but yet you're not practicing the social distancing. If you're going to talk about the law, we need to talk about it. And you know what? This was an old gay man. So, I don't even know where I was going with this.
And then they're calling Trump a king. All those people are the same people that were yelling at us for not wearing a mask. These are spoiled little fucking brats that are willing to pick on you and do whatever they want to you, but the minute that they don't get what they want, they cry and throw a fit.
It's your boy King Chiro. Thank you for watching. Remember that you're loved, and remember to be great every day, because tomorrow is never promised. Peace out, y'all.
Every day you wake up, you got a decision to make. To go right or left, up or down, right or wrong. At the end of the day, you make the decision. Nobody forces you. So make the right decision. Make moves, set the goal. Stop making excuses, man. And if it look like a duck, walk like a duck, and sound like a duck, it's a duck. Stop guessing. Just do the right thing. You heard? You hear me? I love y'all. Stay positive. Love one another.
All right.
What do we want?
We don't know.
When do we want it?
Also unclear.
Why do we want it?
Because it was forwarded to us in an email, so it must be true.
Yeah!